I was packing my daughter's backpack for preschool when she came running into the kitchen holding something in her tiny fist. Her hair was still messy, her socks didn't match, and she had that proud little smile she gets whenever she finds a treasure. "Mommy, look what I got." Honestly, I didn't even look up at first. I just said, "If it's another rock, sweetheart, it stays outside." She giggled. "No, Mommy. It's from the man." That made me look. She opened her hand, and my whole world flipped. It was a Navy SEAL unit patch. Burned along the edges. Frayed. Old. And violently familiar. Because my husband used to keep the exact same patch inside his gear bag, the one he carried everywhere, the one he touched before every mission like it was a habit, stitched into his bones. The one they told me was lost in the explosion. I grabbed the back of the chair to steady myself. It felt like someone had punched me behind the ribs. "Honey, where did you get this?" I asked, trying to keep my voice from shaking. She shrugged, like this wasn't a conversation that should be breaking reality. "It was under my bed." I stared at her. At the patch. At the burn mark that curved exactly the way my husband's did. My daughter is 5. My husband died before she was born. I have never served. We don't have any military gear in this house. So how did she get this? "And you said a man gave it to you?" I asked slowly. She nodded cheerfully. Huh. The man in my hallway." My stomach dropped. "What man?" She thought about that for a moment, tapping her chin with her finger like she'd seen me do 100 times. "The man with the big backpack." I froze. My husband used to come home with a giant rucksack slung over one shoulder. He always joked the weight kept him humble. The thing was practically part of him. "What did he look like?" I asked, barely breathing. She pointed at the picture of my husband on the mantle. "That one." My hands went cold. My vision blurred for a second. "Honey," I whispered, "that's Daddy." She nodded happily as if she knew that all along. "Yes, Mommy. Daddy told me to look under my bed. He said it was for you." I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. I sank into the chair because my legs were shaking too hard to hold me. For 3 years, I had accepted the Navy's version. He died in a classified mission. His body was unrecoverable. His personal items were burned beyond recognition. Case closed. But this patch in my hand. This patch said something else. I turned it over. The stitching was the same. The tiny thread he once ripped during a training mishap, still there. The corner burn, same shape, same size. It wasn't a copy. It wasn't a coincidence. It was his. A patch the Navy said didn't exist anymore. I grabbed my phone as my daughter ran off to get her shoes. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. There was only one person I could call. Mark, my husband's closest friend, the teammate who couldn't look me in the eyes at the funeral. The same man who hugged me like he was apologizing for something he wasn't allowed to say. He answered on the first ring. "I need to see you," I said. My voice cracked. A pause. "Is everything okay?" "No," I said. "And I think you already know why." Another pause. Longer this time. "I'll be there in 10. He hung up. I stared at the patch again. My chest tightened. My eyes stung, but not from sadness, from something sharper. Hope. Fear. Suspicion. All tangled into one. My daughter came back into the kitchen dragging her little backpack. "Mommy, is Daddy coming back?" she asked softly. My throat closed. I knelt to her level, brushing her hair gently behind her ear. "Why would you ask that?" I whispered. She shrugged again, like kids do. "He said he has to be quiet right now. Because of the bad men." Something inside me snapped. Or woke up. I couldn't tell which. I kissed her forehead. I'll tell you everything later, okay? For now, just stay near me. She nodded and started humming one of her silly songs, completely unaware that she had just thrown my entire life into chaos with a sentence. 10 minutes later, a car pulled up. Mark stepped out, looking exactly like he did the last time I saw him, haunted, tense, carrying a weight I didn't understand yet. But today he looked scared. What happened? He said as soon as he walked in. I didn't answer. I held out the patch. His reaction was instant. His face drained. His eyes widened. His hand shook when he took it. Where did you get this? He whispered. My daughter found it under her bed. He swallowed hard. Who put it there? She said a man told her to look. His jaw clenched. Did she describe him? I pointed at the framed photo. She said it was him. Mark closed his eyes like someone had just driven a knife through him. For almost a full minute, he didn't speak. He didn't breathe. He didn't blink. Finally, I asked the question sitting in my throat since the moment I saw the patch. Mark, is my husband alive? He looked at me. Not with pity. Not with confusion. With guilt. Guilt that said yes, but couldn't say it out loud. I can't answer that, he said quietly. Why not? I whispered. His jaw tightened. Because the truth isn't mine to give you. And right then. Right in that silence. I realized something. They lied to me. All of them. And my husband. My husband might not be as gone as they claimed. I didn't sleep that night. The patch sat on my kitchen table, the same way a loaded question sits in the center of a family dinner, quiet but explosive. My daughter, Emma, kept asking the same thing in her small, steady voice. Mom, who left it there? And every time, my mouth opened but nothing came out. How do you explain something you don't understand? How do you tell a child the truth when you don't even know it yourself? At 3 a.m., I stopped trying to sleep altogether. Instead, I did the only thing my brain knew how to do. I researched. I dug. I hunted. I typed the unit number from the patch. It belonged to a Navy Special Operations Group. Not SEALs, more obscure, more classified. A group my husband had never served with. My heart crawled into my throat. Why would a unit he never joined appear under my child's bed? Why would anyone enter my home? My hands started shaking before I even noticed. Around sunrise, when the sky was that soft bruised blue, I heard Emma's door creak. She padded out with her blanket wrapped around her shoulders like a tiny superhero. Mom, she whispered, rubbing her eyes, I saw someone last night. My breath froze. Saw who? I asked, forcing my voice not to break. The man, she said simply. The man who put the patch there. My spine turned to ice. Sweetie, what man? He had Daddy's jacket. Everything inside me stopped. What do you mean? I whispered. She frowned the way kids do when you're slow to understand. The brown one. Daddy's navy jacket from your closet. He wore it. And he said. Her voice suddenly softened, like she was repeating something sacred. Tell your mom I'm sorry for everything she had to do alone. It felt like someone punched the air out of my lungs. I grabbed her shoulders, too quickly, too hard. Honey, did you see his face? She nodded casually. Yeah, he looked like Daddy, but older. Sadder. My blood went cold. My daughter had never met her father. She'd never seen him except in photos. And the jacket was zipped inside a storage box she couldn't reach. I called the base, what was left of it. They transferred me. And transferred me. Until finally, a man picked up. A voice I remembered. A voice from the day they told me my husband died. Commander Hale, he said. And every part of me tightened. Sir, this is Claire Thompson. A long silence. Then. Claire. I didn't expect to ever hear from you again. I told him everything. The patch. The man in the house. My daughter's words. Her description. The silence on the other end wasn't confusion. It was regret. Finally, Hale exhaled. There's something you should know, he said. Something heavy. Something forbidden. My pulse hammered. Your husband's mission didn't end the way you were told. My knees nearly gave out. What does that mean? I whispered. But he didn't answer directly. Instead, he said the one thing that terrified me more than anything else. Claire. I need you and Emma to come in. Today. You're not safe at home. My stomach flipped. Why? I breathed. He didn't hesitate. Because if someone showed up wearing your husband's jacket, it wasn't a ghost. He paused. It was someone from the operation that killed him. Or someone who wanted you to think he's still alive. A ringing filled my ears. What are you telling me? I demanded. His voice hardened. I'm telling you, Claire, someone has been watching you and your daughter for a long time. That night, I sat on the couch holding Emma as she slept in my arms. I stared at the front door. At the shadows. At the empty hallway where she claimed to have seen the man wearing my husband's jacket. I didn't know which was worse. The possibility that my husband wasn't dead. Or the possibility that someone used his memory to enter my home and speak to my daughter. Either way. The truth was coming. And it wasn't staying buried anymore.